Okay, Susan. So we've got a really tight 30 minutes today, and we've all been busy doing our sort of general work, but we're also been busy poking into AI and seeing how it can support our creative work. So Susan's got a bit of a provocation to start with.
Hi everyone. So today I'm sharing an essay called Something Big is Happening. So this is an essay that was written by an AI entrepreneur called Matt Schumer, and he posted it on X, which is formerly Twitter, in early February, and it has over 80 million views. So today we're going to have a look at why it struck a chord with so many. First, who is Matt Schumer? And why should we listen to him? So Matt Schumer is he's not a tech journalist, or he's not a futurist just writing about AI from the outside. He actually runs an AI company called Hyperwrite that's been building and shipping real AI products since 2020, with nearly 2 million users. So he's been living inside the technology for the past 6 years. So in his words, he says he's watched this from the inside and he can't stay quiet anymore. So what does this essay actually say? So Schumer opens with a comparison that stopped a lot of people cold. And he says, think back to February 2020, when a handful of people were warning about a virus spreading overseas, and most people thought that they were overreacting. Then in 3 weeks, the world changed. He says that we are in that moment right now with AI. So to quote, he says, I think we are in this seems overblown phase of something much, much bigger than COVID. It's time now, not in an eventually we should talk about this way, but in a this is happening right now and I need you to understand it kind of way. His core points: AI can now complete tasks that takes a human expert nearly 5 hours on its own. And that capability is doubling every few months. To quote, he says, I'm no longer needed for the actual technical work of my job. I describe what I want built in plain English and it just appears. Not a rough draft I need to fix. The finished thing. I tell the AI what I want, walk away from my computer for 4 hours and come back to find the work done. Done well, done better than I would have done it myself with no corrections needed. A couple of months ago, I was going back and forth with the AI guiding it, making edits. Now I just describe the outcome and leave. So that's quite interesting. The latest model shows something that feels for the first time like genuine judgment and taste, not just output. He also says that OpenAI just released a model that helped create the next version of itself. The AI is now contributing to its own improvement. Another point he makes is that Anthropic's CEO said models smarter than almost all humans at almost all tasks are on track for 2026 or 2027. So his practical advice to everyone is to get on a paid AI tool, Claude or ChatGPT, for around $20 a month. Stop treating it like Google and push it into your actual work. So why did it go viral? The reason that it hit 80 million views is pretty simple. It wasn't written for tech people. It was written particularly for his mums, his friends, his non-tech family that kept asking, what is the deal with AI? It's got the comparison to COVID, which I think everyone can relate to, and it knows what it feels like to be completely caught off guard. Critics have, however, pushed back, saying that this tone is a bit too alarmist and that he overstates the speed of disruption. These are fair points, but even his critics agree on the core observation, that something is changing and most people are still not paying enough attention. So what does this mean for independent artists? Here's the thing, independent artists are actually in a stronger position than a lot of workers. The things Schumer says that will take the longest to displace are exactly what we have. Relationships built over years, personal brand, physical presence, and work where someone specific has to stand behind it. But AI is already compressing what used to take days into hours. Things like proposals, contracts, social media, grant applications, research, financial admin. So if you're not using AI for those things yet, you're really giving your time away for free. And on finances, he says not to panic, but if there is a reasonable chance that your income may look different in 2 years, it makes sense to start building a buffer now. For independent artists, though, who live with financial uncertainty, honestly, we're already more adapted to this than most salaried workers. The window between an early adopter and everyone does this is closing fast, and we are in that window right now. So I'm going to toss now to the group a couple of questions. So Dave and Stephen, I guess, what was your gut reaction when you read this essay? Was it a wake-up call, or did you feel, slow down, it's not that dramatic?
I felt it was a wake-up call, and my response was, I'm really curious. I want to know more. I want to use it in a way that empowers me.
My response was like that question of, you should all be out there now subscribing to a plan. I think that might be somewhere down the track. At the moment, there's so many fantastic platforms out there. Just get on, try one, get used to it, because they're all going to be a bit different. And there might be a time you'll need to subscribe, like you get, your own subscription from many other platforms. But yeah, at the moment, just try lots and get familiar with the language and how they work.
Yeah, great. And I guess on that, Schumer says that a $20 a month AI subscription is the best professional development you can make right now. Are you currently using it? I can see, Stephen, you agree, but maybe not there yet. And if you have, what's it done for your work? Or even on the free versions, what has it done from your work so far?
It's
go on,
Dave. All it's done, everything from assisting with grant applications to working out photographic briefs that we're about to do, and I'm going to be talking about that today.
Yeah, and are you using the free version, Stephen, or the paid?
I've got Claude Pro, so that's a paid version.
Yeah, I'm using the paid version as well. And just this process, this 6-month process of us sharing how we're going about using it is, I guess, suggesting that we are seriously trying to integrate our creative work and our business and our being seen as the aspects of our work into AI and making things work better for us. And we'll let you know how it turns out.
Right. Should we go on?
Yes, let's go on. So here we go. G'day, Nick.
Hey, Dave.
How are you?
Super good. And I'm on my treadmill.
I notice. I think
I'm not bobbing up and down in the stream.
Do you do that as part of a routine during the day?
I just prefer to be moving than slouching in my chair.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying it.
So if you could introduce yourself, because people who are watching this probably won't know you.
Yeah, sure thing. So I founded the organization 20 years ago. It was originally an agency that specialized in building websites for other creative agencies. And over the years, we kind of built our own branding and design expertise and marketing expertise and kind of layered those things around that core offering. And we've had a really strong focus or dedication to working in the not-for-profit, the for-purpose, and the kind of creative industries. So very much a heart-led organization. We don't have any corporate clients, any, big monster clients. They're all good people that we work with.
It's interesting, isn't it? I love the fact that you are working with not-for-profits and for creatives, and that choice comes at a cost, I would have thought.
Yeah, it has, like any decision, has its costs and benefits, good and bad. Some of the challenges are that it's not the sector that's typically really flush with cash. So that makes a big difference. The budgets aren't huge. The clients are very cost conscious. They're also perhaps a little bit behind on the technology or innovation curve in some of these. Clearly not yourself, Dave, but some of these charities are quite slow moving. No offense. It's a way of being in the world that's valid, of course. But of course, it has its benefits as well. We all feel great doing this work. We're giving back to the world. We're using our skills for good instead of evil. We're not selling weapons or sugary drinks. And yeah, it certainly helps recruiting really good people who've got the same ethos, who want to work and do that work and feel good about what they're doing. So yeah, it's a good space to be.
The experience that tech workers have had over the past year of watching AI go from a helpful tool to does my job better than I do is the experience everyone else is about to have. So that's a big statement. How does it sit with you?
things have really changed this year with that Claude 4.6 Opus, particularly that latest model that's powering Claude Co-work. And then, the others playing catch up on that. But certainly, I would say that it's a superpower to be able to use these tools now, to leverage them. Yeah.
Are you excited?
Sure. Why not? We were having a conversation this morning about similar stuff, and I was reminiscing about the desktop publishing revolution of the early 90s, where I'm that old, where we went from sticking, bromides and little cutouts of columns of text onto big paste ups and photographing those to put them on print drums, to doing stuff on computers. It was the same kind of revolution. And we've been through more such revolutions in the last 3 decades, whether it's e-commerce or video production, whatever it might be. The cost of these things has a zero knocked off them. They empower more people every time. It's transformative. It ruins industries. It creates new industries. Of course, it's exciting, but it's also scary. But I think, it's past the time where we can sit on the edges and watch or ignore it.
So what's your strategy?
Our strategy is to acknowledge where the value is and to be able to offer more of that value for the same price to our customers, rather than be in some kind of race to the bottom to do things cheaper. Combined with leading our clients into that future, I think it's pragmatic, healthy, and path, and one that offers actual value to the clients at this point. We've reached a turning point now where it's time to put cards on the table, to be honest about these things and to lean into them and demonstrate that things are moving so quickly that we're still figuring out how to do it too. We're on the same journey. We're just half a dozen steps down the road, and keen to take other people on the journey with us.
That's beautiful. I reckon as a conversation, that's a great thing to leave with. So we'd love you to be a frequent visitor to our little enterprise, if you would.
I'd love that.
How fantastic.
Listen if you dare until the story's done.
You've always struck me as a very deep thinker, and that finds expression in the way you work at Circuit. So I think you've said that bodies have access to truths unavailable in verbal communication. Talk about that.
Absolutely. And it's something that comes up for me continually in watching your conversations with the team around AI. I feel very lucky to be a fly on that wall, because the thing with LLMs and the biggest, most frequent format we use AI is in words, large language models. But most of what we know in the world can't be put into words. I love this John Vervaeke framework of the 4 Ps: propositional knowledge, perspectival knowledge, which is propositional knowledge is fact. I know that something. I know that the capital of Mongolia is Ulaanbaatar. Perspectival knowledge is someone else's perspective. I know what it's like to be a man, a dad, or whatever. I don't know what it's like to be procedural knowledge. I know how to. So I know how to ride a bike. I know how to swim. I know how to hug. And then participatory knowledge, which is really hard. It's like how the individual and the domain all kind of interact with each other. But LLMs is just one of those, that propositional knowledge of knowing that. And it's a massive thing, because most of what we know of the world can't be put into words.
Yeah.
I would argue. Some people would argue against me.
Look at this image. This is where we started.
That image, that crude, weirdly proportioned attempt at a hero image for my new show, Icy Red, was generated by AI. It's bad. I'm currently in the process of creating Icy Red, a new solo show for 4-year-olds. It's a story about fitting in, about finding your place. The set is made entirely from red and white core flute, that lightweight plastic board material you used to see at election time. For a show like this, the hero image, the one that goes on posters, websites, venue brochures, is everything. It's what makes a parent say, yes, my child will love this. So, how do you visualize something that doesn't exist yet? The show is half made, the photo shoot hasn't happened, but I needed to arrive at the photo shoot with a clear creative vision. So I turned to AI. I started with Claude. I gave it the brief: red and white core flute, me, a 4-year-old child, theatre and festival programmers as the audience, parents and teachers of young children as the audience. Claude generated 12 compositional concepts, 6 with just me, 6 including a child. It produced detailed art direction notes, camera angles, lighting geometry, emotional beats, the relationship between performer and set pieces. It gave each shot a title, e.g. The Outsider, The Avalanche, The Tiny Expert. I then took these ideas to 2 humans whose opinions I deeply trust. Dave, who knows this show from the inside, and photographer Andy Rashid from iFood Photography, who has an extraordinary eye for theatrical imagery and will eventually photograph the hero image. They pushed back, they refined. Andy talked about what works in the studio, light, shadow, and how the body fills the frame. And Dave talked about what the show is really about emotionally. I took all that back to Claude. I adjusted the prompts, I added their language, I fed their instincts into the machine. Claude produced that shocking first image. You can see the idea. It's also clearly the work of a tool working at the edge of its capability. Then Claude did something that impressed me. It said, and I'm paraphrasing, "For photorealistic images, you'll get much better results using Midjourney, ChatGPT, DALL-E E3, or similar tools. Here are the prompts I'd recommend you use." I didn't expect that. It handed me a complete brief. 12 prompts, formatted for Midjourney and DALL-E E3, tips on aspect ratios, even a warning about colour drift, because red has a habit of sliding into orange if you're not specific. So I used those prompts. I ran them through Midjourney and DALL-E E3. I iterated, I selected, and gradually something started to emerge that looked like the world of the show. And this is where we ended up. Not the final image, that comes from the photo shoot with Andy Rashid, but a genuine starting point. The AI images won't be replicated in the photo shoot, they'll be surpassed. But they gave us a shared language between me, Dave and Andy, even before a single studio light was switched on.
Agentic AI for independent artists.
Well, I want to share with you something that's become one of the most interesting discoveries in my AI journey so far. And it starts with a problem that I think every independent artist knows intimately. When you work solo, when you don't have a marketing department or a dramaturg on call or even a colleague down the corridor, so much of what you know, what you've done, what you believe in, what you're working on, it lives inside your head. And across an array of documents and recordings. All that information is scattered across grant applications and old bios and emails and keynote speeches and scripts and videos and conversations and myriads of projects. There's no single place where you exist as a whole creative being. And here's the thing, when you sit down with AI, with an AI like Claude, it doesn't know any of that stuff. It doesn't know you've spent 50 plus years making theatre. It doesn't know your creative principles or your collaborators or your values or the voice that you write in. Every new conversation, you're a stranger. And you need to know this. Claude doesn't hold a memory of you from one chat to the next. So if you want Claude to be an effective thinking partner, you need to provide that memory every time. Every time. So, how do you fix that? This is exactly the question that Bianka and Greg raised last week about setting up your AI agent as a personal assistant. And the answer for me has been to build a living document with Claude that holds the essence of who I am. Not a CV, not a bio, something much, much deeper. We're calling it Dave's Dossier. It has 6 sections. Who I am, what I've done, what I'm doing, what I believe in, how I sound, so that Claude can actually write in my voice, and the key people that have been involved with me over the years. Now here's the important bit, the how-to. I didn't sit down and write this from scratch. That would have taken months, maybe even years, and I probably would never have finished it. What I did was set up a feeder folder, and I started collecting raw material that I already had. Old bios, grant acquittals, keynote scripts, tour spreadsheets, reviews. And then, one batch at a time, I fed them to Claude in co-work and said, here's some source material, find what's new, add it to the dossier. So Claude reads the documents, cross-references against what's already there, identifies genuinely new information, and integrates it into the right section without duplication. I check each round, make my edits, and we go again. So what started as a sketch built from 9 text files has grown over just a few sessions into a substantial document covering my entire creative life. Claude has processed 103 of my Substack newsletters. He's processed a 66-page PDF of Patch Theatre annual reports going back to 1992, old newspaper reviews from Jumbuck years, and mined every one of them for detail I'd half forgotten. There are quotes from critics that I haven't read in 30 years, now sitting alongside my current projects. And the crucial thing is, every detail comes from my source material, not from the internet, from the actual documents of my working life. So, what's the outcome? 3 things. First, when I start a new conversation with Claude, I point it to the document, to the dossier, and it immediately knows who I am. My collaborators, my works, my principles, my voice. The relationship has memory. Second, and this surprised me a bit, the process of building it has been genuinely clarifying. Seeing your creative life laid out in one place forces you to see patterns you hadn't noticed, connections between projects, the arc of my thinking. It's become a tool for self-reflection as much as anything. And the third thing, it's alive. It grows as I feed it new material, as my work evolves. Yesterday, I gave it a sketch of my early years, born in Mount Gambier, science degree, teaching in Naracoorte, founding Jumbuck Youth Music Theatre. And by the end of the session, 30 years of history I'd never properly documented was in there, structured and searchable. So my provocation for us in this group of ours is that if we're serious about exploring whether AI can genuinely serve independent artists, then teaching it who we are feels like a pretty essential first step. You can't have a meaningful creative partnership with somebody who doesn't know you. So what would your dossier look like? What source material do you already have lying around that you can use? So I suggest that if you haven't done this already, it's a really good starting point in co-work with Claude.
Well, thank you, Mr. Brown. I'm quite enjoying the discovery of my artistic side.
Let it be heard, let it be heard.
So what have you been working on?
On an AI front this week, I needed a tool to capture thoughts and ideas. I have a year-long project. There's lots of sort of avenues for investigations and the projects and the people I need to reach out to. And I really wanted a way to capture an idea at the moment that it happened, without jumping out of context of whatever I was doing, but just capture it, have it feed into a document.
Document that you got Claude to help you
so
define,
I knew how I wanted to lay out all that information. I knew what sort of categories and headings, so things like core investigation ideas, like really what is the project about, project experimentations that I wanted to do, things like research, which, you know, like a research category or a research item might be something that I really then need to go and do an investigation log on. So how many times I go and think about it and what the outcome of those thinkings are and my interpretation of that. So the tables are set out in a way to get me to the end point of like, what is my thought or interpretation of that item. And so, and there's many more. So it's quite a large document, and I'm quite happy with the way the tables are. But when I started to use it and fill it in, so I started filling in from all the pieces of notes that I'd gone so far, and I'm like, now I've got a central spot. But when I started trying to use it, I found to open the document, to find the spot that it goes, was still taking me out of whatever it was that I was doing. So what was really missing was a portal. So I needed a spot to be able to to just capture it. It would then be able to go and get sort of entered into the document.
So you said, why can't I just vibe code this?
I did.
And so I put together a prompt, went into Lovable, since that's what you guys are using. Put together a prompt, said capture thought process. It did some good toggles for categorizing each of those notes and doing some search capabilities and a few things like that. So that was good. Feeding it back into the document is the next stage of working on the vibe coded system, I guess, but it did a pretty good job of that.
Yeah. And this work on this bit of project, when it came to thinking and capturing data, had me thinking about something that I keep getting advertised at the moment, which is a snap-on device that goes on phones, which is to record everything. And their selling point is it records everything.
Everything all the time.
Everything all the time. Every conversation, every phone call, every online meeting, every in-person meeting is being recorded.
A little bit Black Mirror-ish.
A little bit Black Mirror-ish. And so I started to think about that in terms of capturing data, and I kind of have two thoughts on this. One is data capturing without context. If you're not present in that conversation or that interaction, you're not reading body cues, you're not making connections, you're not bringing context to it or discovering context. So I feel like potentially we've got, you know, data overload, but we've also got this idea that
you're losing some of the human fidelity that comes from.
I think we're at risk of capturing, not being present and not thinking about things. So we can rely on the tool to capture it, and we can go and then recall a fact from it at some point, you know, and be quite factual about this is what somebody said or what was agreed or something happened, but without the context of those things, without making your own interpretation. So I feel like we're at risk of losing kind of participation.
Yeah. Body language and all of that.
Yeah, taking in all of that stuff. And the other side of that was just, what does it mean to have that much data collected in that kind of, you know, transcript kind of way. There's a lot of data.
Consume, yeah.
Let it be heard. Let it be heard.
Any perceptions or thoughts or responses?
My response was, if I had to choose one word, it's relationship. And, you know, this is a new world. And so it's how you develop a relationship that's based on the history, based on the interaction you want to have with it, the regularity. And so everyone's trying to find a relationship and how that is, you know, to be productive, meaningful. And so, yeah, that was the sort of takeaway that I could see across all, you know, from Nick speaking to Josh and Bianca. Yeah, what's the relationship and how do I manage that so that it's meaningful and productive and, you know, yeah.
Susan?
Yeah, for me, I'd have to agree with Stephen, but more so around communication as well, and ensuring that I am communicating enough to get the result that I want, and not just relying on the fact that it has access to so much information through the internet and through the world, but making sure that I feed it the specific information that I need and I want to produce the work that we need.
Yeah. Well, we've hit our 30-minute mark, so thank you everyone for your contributions this week. They've been very rich and interesting and worth revisiting, and I'm really excited to see what happens next. Bye all. Hey, we'd love you to check out our 7world.org in the process of making podcast. Available on all your favourite podcast platforms and from the website.
Listen if you dare until the story's done.